Thank you for joining us now. The uncertainties being faced by Nigerians due to the scarcity of the redesigned Naira note. The nation's inflation rate rose to in January after recording a fall in December. Inflation rose to 21.82% in January compared to 21.34% in December. Nigeria's inflation pressure has resurged, with January figure rising by 0.47% points to 21.82% from the previous 21.34%. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index earlier in the month. But let's get talking now to look at the impact of these on the prices of commodities ahead of the election, and of course the panic buying that is being experienced currently going on now ahead of the Saturday poll. Well, joining us now is Olusegun Okunade. He is the chairman Ikeja District Society of ICANN. He joins us virtually now. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Good morning, Frank, and good morning to all our viewers. Maybe I start on this comic note. You permit me to come to your office and, as your brother, survey the situation by making sure that I have some cash with me. It is now the accounting principle is being felt that there is difference between cash at bank and cash at hand.
Well, you're trying to tell us your experience. I guess perhaps that's what is happening in your end there. Maybe you need to give us first-hand information, how you are coping with these, and perhaps the experiences of other Nigerians around you. When you talk about cash at hand, everybody is suffering it now.
Yeah, well, I'm sure no one is exempted. We are playing the equality that we know as one of the canon, possibly in the taxation. I was not around for like 2 weeks. I was out of the country. That was at the entrance of the first one for December 31st. So I was able to get few cash, there.
Oh dear, I think we're having, we're losing connection with your audio there. But if you can hear me.
I'm hearing you very well.
Okay.
I'm hearing you very well.
Okay, please continue on that thought.
So we just discovered that the availability of cash was not there. And this has crippled a lot of things even till now. I can tell you for free that this morning my driver could not get to my place. He's still at home because he doesn't have cash. Even when I asked him to go and buy it, I will give him the excess over that funds. He's not seen anything to buy. I did the same last night. If I could get from the POS, even at all cost, nothing is available. So as I have cash at bank, but there's no cash at hand. And when there is no cash at hand in accounting, liquidity becomes a problem. And you have small fund purchasing little thing, and that will take us to the topic that has to do with inflation.
So how much of that, in terms of impact, would that have on the prices of commodities ahead of the election? Because if you remember, the inflation that was just released, the December inflation, the general inflation rather, that was just released, jacked up to 21.82% from 21.34% in December. So what is the implication of these as we head to the poll?
Yeah, well, the implication is it's not going to get better. We're going to have it more. I'm sure by the time they will release the January inflation rate, or possibly even February, you will see that we actually jacked up. Reason being that there is panic buying of food because people don't really know what the outcome of the election will be, despite people like us encouraging individuals that we are believing and trusting God Almighty that there will be peace in the land. But as we speak, there has been panic buying of food commodity, which invariably just few funds is chasing that particular few money that we are talking about, and that's problem on its own. I'm sure you know when demand outweigh supplies, what that pins up for you is increase in the cost of that particular commodity, and that's what we're saying. But peculiarity to the present situation where we are now, you discover that people, the malls, the sellers of some of these food commodity are buying cash to give to the producer of some of these things. And what do I mean? You see a plantain seller, see some of those people that goes to village market, that goes to my 12 to buy. They will tell you that they are not accepting transfer. They are not using POS, that you need to get cash for them. And you see people buying as much as 100,000 for 120.
Okay, I was going to jump in there before the disruption by the internet there. So there are two issues here. One is that there is no cash at hand to buy. And so that means that the prices of goods will go up because people, right, do not have cash. I mean, because if they want to buy, talking about panic buying ahead of the election. So if more people come out to buy, it means that the price will have to drop, right? But on the other
automatically.
Hand, okay, but on the other hand, some people believe that since there is no cash, you know, it means that naturally the price or the prices of commodity is supposed to drop, because if you don't have, you know, cash to go into the market to buy, if let's say out of 100%, you have about 60% do not have cash to go to the market to buy. So how do we reconcile these two? No cash to buy, and the fact that a lot of people want to stock up before election. You know, so these are two you know, situations that Nigerians are dealing with at the moment.
It's a predicament that is difficult, as we say, even as analysts, to provide solutions to. It is when you have the funds that you can make a submission that this is the way to go. When the fund is not available, and be that it's made, the alternative means of payment, there is a serious trust gap from the path of the users and those they are transferring money to. We've seen instances where people transfer and it gets hanging in the air, telling us that the infrastructure being provided by the banks are really not supporting the cashless policy that the federal government or the CBN are pushing us to do. If some of those platforms are working like we have in the same climb, I think it will reduce the pressure, because definitely, like I said, the cash at bank and cash at hand, they are both non-current assets, and they play the major role. So you can easily do the transfer from your bank account to get whatever you have. But we've seen instances where people are debited for 14 days, no reversal. How will you, even you that want to do the transfer, you are panicking, and that on its own creates so much pressure on everybody looking out for how to get cash. So the inflation figure, as far as I'm concerned, knowing fully well that this is a contributing factor to it. Ordinarily, some of the causes of this inflation is when you increase public spending. And like you know, even though election is supposed to push for such, well, I'm sure they've assisted the politician in creating room for average people to tell them that we are willing to give you money at least to win your conscience, but the funds are not available as expected. So it's a trying moment for us in the country, but we keep encouraging our citizens to keep their peace. Some of the things they are resorting to, based on the depressed situation that we find ourselves, burning banks and some of those things, it has its own implication on the long run. So we allow them to stay calm. It's a passing phase. Definitely, there will always be light behind the tunnel.
Okay. Before I allow you to go in a moment, let's look at this. Food inflation has gone up. And if you look at food inflation, went up about 24% from the previous food inflation, the prices. Now, the question will be that how do you think this will affect, you know, the purchasing power of average Nigerian going into the election? A lot of people may want to eat, stock up, like you said earlier, stock up their houses ahead of the election. And so how do you think it will affect the average purchasing power of a Nigerian? Can you hear me? I don't know if Mr. Oluche Sokwari can hear me.
Negatively.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm hearing you very well, Frank.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it will affect the purchasing power of an average citizen negatively. Don't forget that we are still battling with insecurity. Average farmers are still not going to farm to get the necessary foodstuff that is expected to be dished out. So there is shortage in the supply of goods and food commodity as we speak. And that on its own is compounded the problem. So you have low supply of food commodity with high demand. The pressure at which people are demanding for this food as we speak, most especially those that even claim to have the funds to stock at home, is putting so much power. And that's why the price will keep increasing, the purchasing power of an average person will keep reducing, and that on its own what is causing a lot of depression. I don't know if you read in the dailies this morning of somebody that set herself ablaze because of her indebtedness of 70,000, and you ask yourself how much is 70,000? But it's to tell you the level at which people are actually taking their lives by themselves because they cannot make two ends meet. We've had instances of ordinary 20,000 people are unable to pay, and all calculations being put in place look favorable when they were actually borrowing the money. So these are other the side effect of the current crisis that we found ourselves. The only thing we can encourage our citizens and people to do is to possibly stay calm, keep hope alive. Don't go the route of taking your life, because for every challenges there is always an end to it. It may linger, but definitely not for too long, knowing fully well that we are in the transition period. This is expected, and people should just prepare and be hopeful that there will be a better tomorrow.
Well, that story that you shared, I saw the story earlier in the dailies, and that's so painful and so saddening there. That shows the level of, the level of hardship a lot of people are going through. And like you said, we will get over it soon. So let me let you go now, but in 30 seconds, if you can do it, your final thought on the election, especially with regards to the stability of the economy and investors' confidence ahead of the election.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to encourage our citizens to stay calm. It's time for you to exercise your rights to vote the right people that your conscience is actually picking to lead this nation for the next 4 years. Don't go about creating tension, arguing and fighting one another. Put this at the back of your mind that average politicians do not fight one another. They are friends, and after the election, whosoever wins, they will congratulate themselves, and they will have a way of settling their differences after the election. Your life matters. Caution your children, caution your siblings as we go out to cast our vote on Saturday. Be civil about it, knowing fully well this is a competition. Definitely somebody will win, and we want to believe that whosoever wins this election knows that there is a lot of things ahead of him expected by the citizen, which I want to believe they will deliver to their promises as they have been doing in all their campaign all over the nation.
I think we should leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your thought with us on the program. Oluche Sokwari, Chairman, Ikeja District Society of ICANN. We appreciate you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Frank, and good morning and a blessed week to all our viewers.
Have a great week. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, so to come after the break, well, experts say shortage of forex may trigger demand, I beg your pardon, Naira redesign policy, and of course the cash crunch in the economy may trigger forex demand. Well, that's our focus next after this break. Please stay with us.